So welcome everybody. Today we have a session around apps and websites for health education, physical education with our honored guest, Kim Ballard. And Kim is a longtime friend and colleague from North Carolina. She's worked for the North Carolina Department of Education. She's on the board of the North Carolina SHAPE. She is on the board of directors for SHAPE America. And she is a professor at Campbell University, teaching preparatory programs for health education, physical education teachers. And Kim has also come to Maine and presented for our health education, physical education cadre teacher leaders and engaged with us on that. So we're excited when we reached out and said, you want to come in and do a session? She said, yeah. So very excited to have her here. And before I turn it over to Kim, a couple things you need to know. In the chat box, if you scroll up, don't do that. Scroll up, and the first link you're going to see is going to take you to our Google Drive. And I'm going to just share my screen to show you what you'll see. And when you get to that, this is our folder with all of the information in it. If you, depending on how you have it sorted, you're looking for this document that says apps to support distance learning, dated July 11th. It's a PDF or it's a Google Doc, whichever you want. That's one way to get to it.
June 11th.
If you scroll up a little further, Chris shared the link to the Google Doc, goes directly to it, and you can go to that one. So either one works. We need you to sign in, last name, comma, first name, comma, district, school, comma, district, for your contact hours. And just for the new folks that are on, a reminder of our protocols is everybody stays muted. If you want to ask a question, and Kim does not mind questions at all, it's just wave your hand if you have your video on. If not, go to the bottom and raise and lower your hand, and we will monitor the participant box to find that, and you can ask the questions. And we'll just call on you at the appropriate time for what Kim's talking about. So again, we are recording this session. Did I forget anything, Jean?
Oh, I don't think so.
All right, then I'm gonna turn it over to you, Kim, and we'll be the ones monitoring the hands up and down. You don't have to worry about that at all, Kim.
Great.
All right.
Great. So, hey everybody, thank you for joining in. I'm going to see how this works. I'm in a hotel this morning, so the internet is a little slow. If you start having some issues, let me know. We may have to ask you cut your videos off to see if it streams a little easier, but right now it seems to be doing okay from what we checked out this morning. So let me get started here. Share.
Hi everybody, and welcome. I'm showing you this Doodly program to show you how I can use it within schools. School's going to be very different, as you know, by the time that we get back. You're going to have some students that may be learning in the classroom. Some students are going to be at home. You may be alone, or you may be with others. Not only that, but our surroundings change. Some could be in their bedroom while they're learning. Others may be in a kitchen. Regardless, whichever one it is, it's going to be, this semester is going to be about technology. And we're going to have to figure out how to best do that. So let's get started. I hope this webinar will help you.
So that's a Doodly, and that was a pretty simple thing to make. I gave you the link at the top of the document if you guys downloaded this document that I put together, sort of a workbook, as well as I didn't want to do a PowerPoint. I wanted to be able to talk and communicate with you all. So that Doodly, there's the link to what I did, and then just some notes, like what do you like or not like, or thinking about how could you use something like that to engage kids. And really it's just an animated lesson. I use them intermediately in my college classes to just mix up some things. instead of me lecturing, I'll make one of these doodlies so that it's just a little more animated and fun and it captures their attention. They're not very long. I don't make them very long on purpose, but it may be that I have to explain a certain motor task. And you can buy into it a bunch of other kinds of things to add. There's a lot of them online already that I use. So I just wanted to introduce you to Doodly, and it's at doodly.com. And they also have a one-time special right now for teachers that's a lot cheaper. It is a cost app, but I found that to be pretty good for my kids.
And
Yep.
Kim, I'm just going to interrupt. Some of you were talking about you had some money to spend for next year, so this might be an option that you would want, or talking to your tech folks to find out whether you have one of these within your
Correct.
district is real important.
Yeah, some of these your school may already have, so it's definitely good to check on that. All the craze right now has been the Bitmoji or the Memojis. Memojis is my avatar. One of the good ones that I've seen as far as to learn is this Tech Bites with Lynn Heffley. And she is a teacher here in North Carolina, but she just moved here. So I'd love to claim her as ours, but we've only had her a year. She's been doing a lot of these little short videos on how to actually put those together and eventually creating your own virtual gym. Have you guys seen those? Shake yes or no. Yeah, so they're kind of cool. My gut is, I mean, they're entertaining right now, and it's been kind of good for kids that are at home because they can choose different things, different days. And if you just go on and look at, well, I use Twitter, first of all, for professional development. And if you look at Twitter, you're going to see a lot of these Memojis and the Bitmojis.
Hey, Kim.
But yep.
Just to let you know, one of our colleagues, I believe Kelly's on the session with us. She did a session with us on how to do Bitmojis, which is awesome. Not everybody was on for that one, but we have that video as well.
And I found this, the last bullet there is it's Google. It was titled Google Slides and Flipgrid and how they're using it in New York City, and accredited, of course, to them. But that's a pretty good YouTube on some things that they're using to engage their students as well. So yeah, just for those of you that haven't checked this out, this is a great link, a great way to engage kids as well. How about screencasting? So have you had somebody present on that one, Susan?
We've had short presentation on it and some conversation, but again, not everybody on here was necessarily on that session.
So let me go back and preface too. One of the things that I did in order to prep for this session was ask the teachers that are already engaging students in classrooms what they were using, what were their top 1 or 2 or 3 programs that they were using during this COVID. A lot of this is around the COVID as well, and trying to engage kids at home that do have access. So they're not like in particular order. They're just as I collected them. So you'll see these little like Screencastify. That's who you would follow on Twitter. And as you go down, you'll see that I give people credit. And this is who shared this with me and tells me how they're using it in physical education. So I wanted to copy all of that and let you know.
Did you know that Claire Lynn's one of our teachers?
I love it. Well, she didn't know. I didn't. So that's great. Is she on?
I don't know if she's on today, but she's one of our star teachers. Okay.
Nope, that's great. So, and then she shared it with us and said, this is a great one. And so good to have her represented there. And so again, this is like Castify was just helping for kids that, is being able to do video with them. So she could do a good one for you. I had not heard of this app, but she said it's one of the better ones. And so yeah, she may want to do that one with you. I asked them, how are you using this in health education and physical education? So these were some of the things that they're embedding some of their videos with directions into Google Slides using Screencastify in order to get it developed. They've embedded an interview with the family planning rep for human growth and development for 8th grade and allowed students to watch the short videos and respond. and being able to show appropriate techniques of something, whether it's a skill that they're using or a stretch or something another, then they've been able to use Screencastify. Now that mostly works in Chrome, it seems. So I didn't use it. I did a workshop, as a matter of fact, and ended up using think, Ballard. QuickTime. Couldn't think. QuickTime to make a video. But everybody doesn't have iMovie and everybody doesn't have QuickTime. So these are just other opportunities for you to do a short video and put things together. Some people are even using TikTok and some other little GIFs and putting them together as well in some kind of a lesson format for students. So I'd love for you to check those out when you get a chance, just looking and clicking on the link and seeing what you see. And then this is to make you some notes. What do you like about it or not like about it? Or even thinking about what we could do, how you could use any of these in classes. So before I go on to the rest of them, on these first three, are any of you using those first three? We'll pull mine up here where I can see some of you. Maybe.
I am Kelly Kozel.
Oh, hey, well, can you tell us how you're using it? Any of these?
Yeah, I used Screencastify to record and show how to maneuver through some choice boards for my high school session.
Great.
That they could refer back to. And again, I kept it very short. I believe the video was under 4 minutes, but they could always go back to it. And I had every slide linked back to the directions.
Gotcha.
And then the Bitmoji and visual, our virtual classrooms, I've put them out as more of enrichment to help students explore the content that I put out. And again, I put those up on Google Classroom. And so the students could go back to it when it was an appropriate time, and they had some choice within that as well. So if they didn't like breathing techniques, they had choices for other mindful activities that we practiced in the classroom prior to the break. And again, they could choose the ones that they enjoyed and disregard the ones that really make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
No.
videos as well. Screencastify for a couple of, although I teach primarily health, I'm into fitness, and I put out some fitness skills and challenges. So
That's awesome. Anybody else using some? Mr. A?
Yeah, I started using Bitmojis to allow adding emotion into an email, saying congratulations into an email. You passed the class. And then the sun is shining with Mr. A in the background saying congratulations. It adds a sense of support in something so easy as an email. Just a little picture of you saying, hey, you did it, making that email so much positive. Because who dreads an email? So that makes it a little bit better, and it adds your personal touch to an email rather than just your name.
I can't see everybody, Susan. Does anybody else want to share?
I'll do a quick check.
I'll move ahead. If not, we'll cover a few more and stop and talk. Okay. All right. So I had not heard of this one. I don't know if you guys have, but it's an interesting one if you want to click on the link and look and see. But it works really well with Google Apps and such to put into PowerPoints. It's like another PowerPoint in some capacity. Pear Deck is good because I can take the Google slide presentations, lay out videos and activities, and add assessments to it. So that's one way they're using it. This one is a similar one, and I've just started hearing a lot more about this one. I'm starting to see it pop up a lot on Twitter. So I have not played with this one as well, Buncee. But here are some Buncee ideas, and I was going to click on this link and let you kind of look through those. So if you have a chance to do that, just click on that link yourself. And look through and see what you think about this one. And this comes from Gym in the Gym PE and how they use it. So I'm gonna pause a minute. I want you to kind of look through that. Click on the link, see what you think. And share when you're ready. if you think you might be able to use it. There's a webinar for this app at 12 o'clock.
Oh. Kim, do you want me to share it on my screen?
It's okay. And they can look at it and come back. Have any of you used this one or seen these? Any of these two?
I started getting into it. It's easy, it's free. It links up to your Google Classroom. So the more you use it, just like Google Classroom, you can overlap forms. Google Documents is another platform.
Good.
Just like anything, it's another form any department can use for any subject matter. And it links up to your school, so you could start your own resource to share within.
Anybody else? I hear somebody, but not speaking.
That's a new person that just came on, so
Okay, no problem.
I just muted her.
I'm sure you guys have used Poll Everywhere, but it's also pretty good for kids. And when it's been out there for a while, but thinking about how we can engage kids, again, you just sign up as a presenter, and you'll get a screen like this, and you can set up some sort of a poll. And then there's different ways that you can use it. You can get these kind of graphs, or you can get these power words that come up. So it's a way also of engaging kids.
Kim, that's one that you're right. It's been around for a while, but when we think about doing a lesson distance learning,
Right.
what a great way to do a poll with kids, high school in particular. Maybe not so much with middle school because they don't all necessarily have a phone, but certainly
Right.
with high school, majority would. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's not a new one, but it's one to think about as we're trying to engage students a little bit more. And it's a good way of doing a check if you are doing lecture. And we're telling people, if you're doing Zoom or any other kind of video chat, that don't forget that kids will still lose that interest every 20 minutes or so. And incorporating something like this, incorporating a break, a stand-up break, just a quick little something is still very, very, very important while we're doing this. So Mel is a friend of mine that's in China, and she has already been teaching with her kids as well. And so she said that she's been using Apple Clips some to make videos and uploading those. She's using YouTube. A lot of people are using YouTube. YouTube is fine. There's some schools are blocked. Some won't be able to get onto it. There's a YouTube kids version that's a little bit better. You still have to be careful with a lot of things, but YouTube's been pretty well utilized, and especially by the folks doing a lot of dance, things that kids can follow that you could link to if you were doing a virtual gym or a virtual classroom and you needed a physical activity break of some sort. She uses Google Forms. Again, been around a long time, but just thinking about how you might be able to collect information and assessments while you're, doing some virtual work at home. And she's hoping she's going to do this class. She's using Slack HQ or HQ for communication. And now I haven't used these either, but she says that they're good as far as communicating with parents, which is another big issue that we got to keep, thinking about. So have any of you used YouTube or any of these? So we got several of those, yes. Anybody want to share like a good way that you're using them? Maybe one health version and one PE version?
Actually, Kim, that one, Chris did a session for us yesterday morning on YouTube channels, just kind of a understanding of what does it look like, some of the how to put things in there.
Good.
Which was good.
So thinking about how to use them, is it only for us to demonstrate a skill, or can we use them other ways? Because you got to remember, so far we're using it to demonstrate skill primarily, but you can do a lecture. You can do, a variety of, different kinds of things. You can have a guest speaker to come on. You could do a Zoom that has a speaker conference kind of a thing, and then put it with YouTube. So there's so many different ways that you can use it. And I know that somewhere I read, and it's, even in here was somewhere back up top that somebody was using a guest speaker for health education, sexuality stuff that they were using through this. And you can make it private. I'm sure he talked about some of those, that so that you're not getting a bunch of people on it.
I had pulled something earlier when I was working on a lesson around a YouTube on hand washing.
Oh yeah.
And an activity, a lesson on hand washing that you could do with different age kids through YouTube.
What about the others? Have you used those, Chris, or anybody else? The Strava?
Yeah, we've done the Strava app. My colleague, Mr. Todd Papiano, that's how we share information between athletic workout, between students, colleagues. We've done it all throughout the state of Maine. YouTube, we've done it. I've done it through my technology of physical education, through professional development. I taught young adolescent kids and high school level performance how to do field hockey out of a book. And I've never taught field hockey. It's just teaching the lessons over progression and practicing.
Yeah.
And that's my first YouTube video back 2 years ago.
Nice.
And then from there onto trucks, onto physical education, yoga videos. And then I just did everyday tutorials of, hey, welcome to Mr. A's physical education class. And if you miss a class, you could always go back to March 31st when we started the distance learning and go through distance learning with Mr. A all over again with the blue suit.
Thank you.
He's
Yeah.
very creative, Kim, with his.
I love it. No, I love it. I haven't used the Apple clips yet either, but I'm going to try those that she's been, sharing some of those. So they're just different ways. Some are a little easier than others. The good thing, or what I was hoping for you guys, is that I put a lot of these in one place for you to try. And then just see what you like and what you don't like, make some notes. You can keep this list growing way beyond, but at least we know these are some that are proven. This one, again, has been around for a while, Goose Chase. You guys seen that one? So it's a scavenger hunt. I've seen this used a couple of different ways, and I've used it with my college kids. One school district, when they got back a couple years ago, it was Sarah G.H., and their school district had set up teams of all the teachers, and they ended up getting on buses in teams and going around and seeing different things in the city and the neighborhood and looking at resources that they were able to utilize for the kids. So it was a team building for the teachers, but it was also a way of getting them out in the community, seeing where some of these kids live, seeing the neighborhoods, having some discussions around it. And so it was a really well put together Goose Chase. But this is a great site if you haven't been there. And then some quotes from people, again, that are using them and how they're using them in their courses, like setting up scavenger hunts for fitness movements, etc.
I love that you can engage the family with that one.
Yeah, and if you see the next one, yeah, then that Will sent in, that they did a family scavenger hunt. And so thinking about in this COVID, if we're in some sort of a mixed environment where some kids are home, how can you do that? That's going to be a little more tricky. You might have that as an off day when they're home and then doing something else in the classroom. But that is something that if you create it now, you also can use it later. You can always use it for some kind of a homework assignment later on. So I think that's one that, really goes well. And these are some people that you can follow on Twitter as well if you get a chance. This link here, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what I like about Goose Chase, when we utilize it, I could see it very easily being used as part, with distance learning, as part of a summative assessment, where you could capture the different ways of demonstrating that you did the assignments.
Yep.
And either
click on that link, Susan.
Or evidence. Click on the goose.
Yeah, and then share that.
Okay.
See if yours will pull up. I don't want to waste mine too much. So one of the things I found was this website that had already put together some health and physical education ones. They called it physical activity, but some of them I could probably do in health, especially middle grades. You guys can pull it up on your own too.
Yeah, I'll get the Goose Chase up and then I'll share my screen once it's up. It's opening now.
Okay. I should have told you. I didn't know. I just thought about looking at this one because I did want to find these sites so you wouldn't have to go search. It's
So where do you want me to go to?
So scroll down. So there's that K-12 section. Where did I see it? There was I thought that link had it right on the health and PE ones. So,
Oh, I might have chosen the wrong link. I apologize.
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, there's one at the bottom of the section. It says, have your class engage, define different health physical activity concepts. There you go.
Stop the other one so it won't be running.
I see in the chat box, be sure you sign up, yep, as an educator, so you can involve 40 individuals on the chat. So you can scroll through there. So here's where some have been put up that you can go in and look at and kind of copy, utilize, get an idea about how some people are using them. I think there was some family one towards the bottom, if I remember. I might have found it on something else, but.
Nope, that was the bottom.
Yep. Okay. So, but it's a link again that you can use to get on and look at, play around with a little bit and see if you like it.
All right.
All right.
That's
Kahoot
it. It
again.
says Goose Chase is awesome. I've done some of the teachers for teachers and some for our neighborhood families. Sure to sign up as an educator. Yeah.
Yeah. Have any of you others used Goose Chase? I saw the one in the chat box. Anybody else want to share anything? Think about using it if you get a chance. It's not really that hard. It does take a little bit of time to set up, but it's really not that hard to do.
And my understanding with the person that told us about it, once you've done it once, it's really easy to do it.
And that's true with most of these apps. They're not really that hard once you get in and play with it a little bit. It does take some time. I mean, it just takes time to get some things set up, but just like, you set up anything else. Kahoot, again, been around for a long time. But again, something we can pull back out and use with our students. There's a link up there that you can see where a guy posted one of his. They are offering the premium right now for free for teachers. So Kahoot's free anyway, but then there's a premium version and they're offering that. So if you want to click on that and see about, getting the free version, I'd suggest you do that. You guys using Tabata too? Yep, I think you had a session on that. I put two of Open's links there. One of them's a PDF and the other is just their resources of, some quick workouts that are already done. And you can go in and put those up. So all you got to do is just post those. They're already done for your kids. You could post them. This would also be a link to one or two of these if you wanted to do a virtual gym. And you could put some quick little links in there to this. So there is a lot of stuff already out there. Padlet, I'm sure you've heard of as well. That's another one that we can bring back out and try to use while we're engaging students at home. Again, Mel in China has been using them for movement and reflection in her classroom. I put a link there as well for someone that had posted using Padlet supporting teachers in learning and assessment with physical education. So that one is one for you to click too. Yeah, Susan.
And Becky, I think Becky's on the session with us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I'm here.
She was showing us just a couple of days ago how her Padlet.
Yep, I've just used it as a means to for students to share photos, and we're lucky with I teach 4th and 5th grade, and I have no students that are on media restrictions. So I can, as long as they're not identified, they can upload photos and videos of them. That's a fun way to share videos and photos.
Anybody else? Yeah, thank you.
I just learned about it, so I'm looking to utilize it.
It's been around for a little bit, so it's good. And I just encourage you all to think about the intent of some of these apps were just general engagement and fun. Looking at a way of doing things. I'm trying to say, let's look at them now. And that's why I have this like and dislike, you know, what can you do now in the terms of really trying to educate kids and making something a little more meaningful, you know, out of it. So again, this link here will show you some things. You want to, I don't know, Susan, can you click on it and take a look right quick since we got a little bit of time?
The Padlet. All right.
The one at the bottom.
Yeah.
Using Padlet to support. And then, of course, teachers can look at it and, you know, play with it, bookmark it, go back to it a little bit later.
I'm getting there.
I know. And again, I apologize. I'm having to do it from a hotel, and still it wasn't quite as smooth running as I had hoped. We had a call for our mom yesterday, so I had to run home and I had to adjust this as much as I could. So just glad to be here.
Chris, can you pull that one up, the Padlet?
Thank you.
I couldn't get the link to pull up for me, so I'm going to see if Chris can do it.
Okay, hey, mine did. So it pulled up pretty fast for some reason.
Okay.
So. Get you guys out of the way. So he was using it to see, as you see, he had a picture and the students were having to go through and think about what was, you know, what were they seeing? Agility, speed, what were the motor skills, and identify those and have things pop up. So I thought that was pretty cool for you. Let me get out of that one. Another one I haven't tried yet that I didn't put on here, but I haven't, I think might be interesting to try is Plickers. Have any of you tried that with, oh, Kelly, tell me about it. How does it work with Plickers? Not, I mean, like online. Have you done it online?
I haven't done it online, but
Okay.
I have used it in my classroom a lot. And it's another thing that's very easy to use. Once it's set up, it can be a little monotonous to get the codes and everything. Just have to be careful that you move slowly, and in very large groups, it can be a little bit of a stinker sometimes.
Right. So I'm wondering if you had them on Zoom and they had their card up, would it pick it up? It might be too jumbled, you know.
I think it would be too jumbled, but I'm not an expert on that. So I don't know if anyone else has had experience with it online.
I saw Chris coming in. I wasn't sure. Go ahead.
It all depends on the pixels of how fast your camera. Like, I'm talking slow and my camera's slowing down based on everybody's Zoom. So if we have 96 people in this Zoom meeting, your pixels are going to slow down a lot. It all depends how many people. And
Oh, you muted yourself, Chris.
He's done, he said.
Okay, all right.
So,
yeah, but that may, I would never have thought about it, but when you said it, it makes sense that could cause problems. Now that'll be one that'll be interesting to see if Plickers themselves come up with something that's appropriate to distance learning.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one that I like and I use in my with my students. And I have some small classes that I use in my teacher ed. So I may have 7 or 8 at a time that might, you know, that have bigger pictures, or they can use speaker view and just everybody, you know, go through and do it. That may take too long. I was just wondering if there's a way of doing it.
Yeah, because we do have a lot of teachers that use Plickers, I think, across the state. I'll write that one down as a look into.
Yeah. This is the other link.
Do you want to share your screen again?
Oh, did I not do that?
Yeah. We just switched out, so.
Yeah, where's my Zoom at?
You lost your Zoom?
I got too much open. I got too much on here. All right, let's see. It may not play, but this one was using Padlet, supporting teaching. This is a 3-minute one, so it's probably going to take a little bit. So there's 2 links there. That's not one link. That's on
Hi
your-
everyone, it's Maeve Cora from the PAI here. Today I'm just going to show you a brief video of how I made this resource for my students where they can access lots of different things that they can be doing over the few weeks to help them stay active. So I made it using this website called Padlet.com. You can set up a free account and you can make up to 3 Padlets for free. And you can see here I've got loads of different resources for the students. So videos, games, running plans, useful apps, podcasts, circuits and stuff. And the students can scroll down through each one and they'll get loads of different ideas and resources of things that they can do. So I'm just going to show you really briefly how I made this. So this is a blank one that I've just created, and if I go up here to these 3 dots and click on it, the format that I want this to be in is the shelf format. So that will let me have all the different columns like you just saw in the example there. So you can see now the columns are here, so I can change the name of this one. I'll call it circuits, and then I want to add videos and podcasts.
So you can see that's a pretty simple way of making some if you're using Padlet. Again, not thinking about just responses, but how can we, reach out and educate the kids too. Sort of a virtual gym technique, a different way of doing it if you like Padlet. Have you done Edpuzzle? So these are, I see Kelly, same one, seems like. That's okay, because those of you that haven't, like some of these I had never heard of before either, so don't feel bad. And again, they're just here for you to explore and to know about and see what you think, So I thought this was about puzzles, and it wasn't. But last night when I met my sister for dinner, before we went to see our mom, my niece I was asking her, I was like, well, what kind of interactive things have your teachers been using for your classes? And she said that they had been using some Edpuzzle and a couple of other things. So I had her tell me about it a little bit. So I thought I came home and had to add that one in. So it was just a way of getting kids in small groups and stuff. Have any of you guys used Edpuzzle? And click on the link there and you can look and see what Edpuzzle is.
Are you waving at us, David, or just moving your hand? Okay.
What was he talking? He's muted.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, David.
I can't sit still, as you can tell.
So have you guys heard of Edpuzzle yet? One or two. Okay. I would say check it out. Check it out and see what's going on with that one and how you might be able to utilize it. It's compatible with most devices as well.
Erin talked about Edpuzzle on Monday in our formative assessment session.
Perfect.
And how she uses it for assessments.
For assessments. Yep. That sounds good. And then you can like or dislike. All right. How about the Mean movie? Where's Chris? Did I introduce you to something new? No, you already heard of it too.
And Doreen's got her thumbs up on this one.
Doreen, oh man, y'all are killing me. I just learned about this one. But this one really is specifically for physical activity and helping kids keep up with the physical activity while they're at home. So why don't you guys tell me? I haven't used it yet, so why don't you guys tell us how you're using it, or if you've used it yet or plan to use it?
My movie is based on an Apple program, which is hard for me because I'm not an Apple guy. So that's the difference between technology and embracing what you have. I have a lot of Samsung devices, so it doesn't match up with what I have. But if you have a lot of Apple devices, I would highly recommend my movie.
Doreen, thanks, Chris. Doreen, have you used it?
Not a lot. I've just heard about it, and I've seen some practice things. We have our tech guy that's posted some activities or ideas on how to use it. So it's on my list of things to check out.
Perfect, you guys. On this paper, there's the link to go to it. And then this one explains it a little bit more. So you can click on this link and watch and see how some teachers are using it. This app company actually contacted me and said, that they just happened to see my call out on Twitter and said, hey, have you checked this out yet? And I was like, no, I haven't yet. So I'm interested in seeing how I might be able. I am an Apple girl, so I'm excited about seeing how I might be able to utilize this one too, and especially since we're looking at how are we going to be held accountable for students at home. Now, let's say we move out of COVID-19. This is something again we can use once we get it set up for kids at home, and for Standard 3 to make sure that kids are getting physical activity outside of class. So it is a way of, helping to measure. Now, I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of time getting everything set up. Probably like most pieces of information when we're gathering data of assessment. But I look forward to seeing what this one does as well. So these were just some ideas of other things people posted, that just being sure to check in, using pictures and videos of students showing the skills and sending that in as well on some way. Of course, Flipgrid is one of the ways that we do that. And this was a great site. Not sure if you're not sure how to meet certain Shape America grade level outcomes, this is the grade level national standards outcome locator. And so what you do is it pulls up like this. I put a picture in there for you. So at this website right here, and this is the FOS, if you haven't, Becky and Mark Fowler, if you haven't seen theirs, that's a great website right there. And so it comes up like this, and it has like all the standard outcomes, the grade level outcomes. And then here's where they're putting them into like little GIFs so that kids will see, they're demonstrating and showing what they're doing and meeting which of those outcomes. So it's just a good website for you to get to, and people are trying to use those as well, to make some sort of assignments. Here are the outcomes, show me your video. This was also a great story of a physical educator. This is Kyle Bragg, and he did stories from the Arizona area on keeping kindergartners engaged and using some technology. So that was another resource that I thought I would share with you all to look at and see. And Susan, that's what I wanted to share. These are just some really good ones. I think some old ones too that we can pull out and go back and think about how we can meet the needs of students, keep them engaged, let's see, am I still sharing? No, I'm not sharing it.
Stop sharing.
Okay.
Well, Kim, I really like the fact that you pulled out, included some of those that have been around for a while, because I think we forget about them, or some people weren't engaged in technology that much back when those came out, so they're not as prevalent in finding them when you search. So I think there were some on there. There were 2 or 3 that we haven't even had come up in any of our discussions, which are great tools. And something I learned from Kelly was in her session that she was talking about, and I've shared with many of our other sessions, is you want to switch up your platforms, switch up your apps and your websites with the kids. They don't want to see escape room after escape room after escape room, but they enjoy an escape room activity every now and then.
Right.
So it's having the different ones to pull from and choose is really helpful. I love that Padlet one.
I've seen some virtual, the Bitmojis, virtual escape rooms.
Kelly has one. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
They are. I had not seen them until I saw Kelly's, which was really, really neat.
Oh, man. What questions can I ask, and, or help with?
This is your opportunity to share additional resources. And if you have one you want to type into the chat box, or copy and paste in the chat box, that's great, because I'll pull those out and add them to Kim's list.
Yeah,
Kelly?
I'm looking through there for some of those too.
Kim, thank you for sharing everything that you have here. It's a good reminder, like Susan was saying, and I know that you've talked a lot about limiting those video pieces. What are your thoughts about the remote learning you have to use technology, obviously. What about limits on or opinions about how much is enough with other curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen, and I've really appreciated the teachers that have done short blasts of lessons, not trying to keep kids on for an hour at a time like a normal classroom, although some districts have mandated that. So in that scenario, I would definitely try to break it up with I even do this in my regular classroom. I have Tuesday, Thursday classes that are an hour and a half long, and every 20 minutes I get them up. I let them check their phone, whatever they got to do for a minute, move around. Sometimes we'll do an energy break. And then we get back to class. And I think it's important that while they're at home, we still do that too. Adam Howe has done a really good job. I've watched him. He's done his teaching for Facebook Live that kids are on. So he goes live every day and does probably 5-7 minutes. He does a little warm up, and then he does a skill that he wants them to practice. He shows it to them. He does, a this or that kind of an activity. He does it with them. And then he's off, and he has, all right, continue to do this for the next little bit, or, as you get a chance, do it again later in the day, or, that kind of thing. So I think it's important that we don't overwhelm them on the computer, for sure. And that we just have to think about how we can use technology, to break that up so that they can do it on their own a little bit more in their own time. So it's going to be scary what it comes back. What we're getting ready to go into, I think.
I especially found the difficulty of students taking the time for direction and why it needed to be so simple.
It does. It has to be. And I hope that you find in some of these apps is that if you are not using any technology and you're, somewhat timid of it, that some of these are not that hard. And to try and just, push yourself out of the box a little bit and use some of the more simpler ones. There's also a ton of them that are already out there that people are sharing free will. Our community is so amazing at the free stuff they share. All they ask is don't claim it as your own. Give them credit, So even a lot of these Bitmoji and virtual gyms, people are like, yeah, use what you want, put your emoji in there, but, make your own as it is, or that it was edited from, mine. Just not taking it out and presenting on it, which you guys know that.
Yeah, and I appreciate Kelly has made it real clear how important that is with her, when she's shared in her sessions. That she said, I take from all over the place. Just give people credit.
Yeah, yep, you do. And here's part of the reason with that is that there are some people out there that take it and then put it on Teachers Pay Teachers as their own and get paid for somebody else's work. So we've run into that with a few presenters, and it's been very ugly. And they've gone to Teachers Pay Teachers and proved it. So but there are people that do that. So just don't do that. But for those of you that are not using technology that much, there's some simple ones in here. I would say go to somebody's that's already there, look at it, see how to do it. If you're not on Twitter, that's one of the best places in the world to get some professional development from, and see, and Google links. I click on people's links all the time and steal all kinds of stuff, to be able to just show my classes, on the things they can do, or to share with people like you guys. So it's a great place to go. How else can I help you? Anybody else? I haven't checked the chat.
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question I put in the chat room. I know some students out there that have some limited technology education. So I know we're all learning on new apps and stuff like that, but some kids still don't have the resources to know actually how to use their technology, how to submit the work. And I think how do you address that problem to show these kids and give them the support they need within physical education and other classes?
Yeah, so that's a hard one. We came up with it even at the university level, when we had kids that just they didn't respond. They were totally gone. And if we didn't have their phone numbers to call, then we wouldn't have been able to get in touch with them at all. And so that's just been one of the questions that we're trying to deal with at university too, is do I have to call all 120 some? I might, I don't want to, but the old phone is just one of those ways. And if they don't have technology, If they don't have access to internet, then yeah, we're still responsible for teaching those kids, and we may have to mail them information. They may have to mail it back. Their deadlines may have to be, differentiated. Or if they have email, you can collect and do some work by email if they happen to have it. But I'm open to, I don't know all the answers, for sure. That's just some of the things I'm hearing around the country, and love to hear what your thoughts are too, everybody.
Well, one of the things that Kim, in our state, is the number one thing our commissioner did when this started back on March, right around the 15th, 16th, was it was about getting devices to and getting services to kids. And so she wants it to be 100% all have it. So
Yeah.
working towards that, and has done a phenomenal job with funding to make that happen. But we know there are still some kids
Right.
that are not connected for whatever reason. So we are doing paper. Lane, can I call on you to talk a little bit about, I know you had a number of students that did not have access, and so how you were able to loop them in on the low tech.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, and well, actually, it's so diverse that we ended up doing paper packets. And we have buses delivering food items like every district does in the state. And so they actually created a hotspot. So the bus sat in one place for an hour. And there were hotspots for kids. Yeah, exactly, Kelly. And they were supposed to download. But, these are the kids and families that really, truly don't understand that process. So hard copies also went out. And if we move forward in September, we're hoping to go Google Classroom. So all these are great, but we've been really instructed to stay on one platform.
Mhm.
And that's challenging, but it's elementary, I get it. But for equal access, which Brunswick prides itself on trying to do, we stuck with paper copies. We mailed, we emailed, some printed on their own. Yeah, you're right. We did call. I personally did call a couple kids, and if we couldn't get in touch with them. So that's how we did. Our bus drivers have been superheroes through this, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard about that throughout the country too. People having buses go. We've had some in North Carolina do the same. Paper packets, and part of the problem with some of the paper packets I heard was they left out some subjects, and physical education was one of them in some places around. So, or if it wasn't in the certain format, Lynn, like you said, like some people wanted to just send home some open stuff, but it wasn't in the right format, so they kicked it out. That was here in North Carolina in one of our schools. Said, nope, we're not going to send that home until you get it in the right format. So yeah, there's some definite challenges. I know you're getting ready to say something, Susan, but I just don't know that there is any other way but old-fashioned, to send home that work. And this is one other thing that scares me as we go back, and I sent this in to Campbell. When we go back and I've got a classroom of 45 and only 24 can come, who is that 24? How are we going to decide which 24 come? Because it can't be the ones that don't have access. That's unfair because we're putting them in a situation that they don't need to be in. So how are we going to do this equitable and be able to still do some send home paper like you're doing, Lynn, and then some technology maybe like Kelly's doing, and mesh that together? So the sooner we know what we're going to do, the better. But it's still going to be a challenge, and I think we're just going to have to mix our world of, sort of old days and new days, and as the best we can.
Absolutely, because we don't know. Denise, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that don't speak English, and the English language learners are really left out and behind. And I've been to websites where they have like a little drop-down bar that says you can speak English, Spanish. Is there any way, like if you made your YouTube videos or your Screencastify, how you can make it in English, and then how can it get to the students where they could have a drop-down thing that they could pick their own language so that the computer would automatically do it? So I don't know if anybody has that technology or something, but I can see that would be a benefit for a certain population.
So Chris has an answer for you, Denise.
He can't help himself.
Yes, I can't resist. This Duncan is going right through me. So YouTube actually has businesses that people go in and they can do closed captions and change it to Spanish for whatever you say. Dialect's kind of different, But it's interesting. That's why I went to YouTube, because I have somebody international in France that will change it over in France, and then he can change it. So it will pick it up in English, and then he can go to translator if he doesn't understand. Or I can talk to my French language instructor to interpret.
So Chris, if I get a YouTube and I want it to be in Portuguese, I can change it to Portuguese on my end. You don't have to do it, but I can do it on my end.
You can change the titles and say Portuguese translation, and somebody can pick that up, and YouTube will pay them to translate it.
Wow.
It's amazing. Your dialect or accents might change the language barrier. That's the only thing that's hard for us in our location.
Great
to
tip.
know, though. Thanks.
That's something you need to add to that list right there, and I will too.
Yeah, that's great. Other thoughts? Lynn, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Kim. First off, I wish you well with your family and your mom. I heard that loud and clear, and being in your shoes, I can only imagine the underlying info that you're sitting on. So thanks for joining us under those challenging circumstances.
Well, I love Maine for sure.
Yeah, well, I've met you at the conference, and we love you. So the other piece I have is my district, like some of yours, or many of yours have not, and I kind of feel like, woohoo, you guys are lucky. They have blocked YouTube, will not allow us with YouTube. I've double checked after learning from Becky the other day how to do safe to YouTube, and they're like, nope, 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 nope. So that really has limited me. Anybody, what would you use, Kim, if YouTube is an absolute no-no?
Yeah, so I would think that some of these other apps that were on the list would help to give you some platforms that you would be able, you just wouldn't be able to link to a YouTube video per se, but you might could find some TikToks and some other QuickTime videos and others that would be a little more open. Go ahead. I know you were going to say something too, Chris.
Screencastify is what I used before YouTube. So it's putting on the shoes before going outside. They save all my videos too. So in case something happens to YouTube, I go to Screencastify and it's already backed up and saved. So that's one more step you don't have to use. But the YouTube actually allows the safety factor that Screencastify does not. Becky, back to you.
Well, your Screencastify will also directly upload into your own Google Drive, where you then can make the sharing status on that open to anyone that has the link. And then instead of linking through YouTube or Safe YouTube, as I was explaining the other day, you can just link to the video within your Drive.
Good.
Yeah, and that's thank you. I was hoping that you guys would say that, because I know where Lynn said they're going to be using Google Classroom, you need things compatible with that. Isn't Photo Booth or something? Somebody speak to Photo Booth?
Yep.
That's part of Google, isn't it?
Well, Photo Booth is an app that's just on your laptop. It's just another means. It's like using the camera on your phone. It's just another means of recording.
Okay.
I have used Screencastify for my instructional videos that I put out. When it came to like going outside, my field day videos that I linked to through the Safe YouTube and all that I was showing the other day, I just used the camera on my iPad and filmed my son out demonstrating these things. And then those are the ones that I uploaded into my YouTube channel and used the Safe YouTube link. But the instructional things I'm holding within my Google Drive, and I can link to those directly. It's super easy to upload into your Google Classroom, and you can just through a link.
Lynn, I've also seen people using GIFs and putting like 4 different GIFs on one PowerPoint slide that are all going at the same time. And like kids have to identify A, B, C, or D as to which one is the appropriate skill or the step or whatnot. So there's a lot of that free out there too. On the one website that I gave you, that was the Folgers, have a ton of GIFs on there that are already done that you can just, pull in. And instead of using a video, you could put together a slide that has, 2 or 3 different steps in a row, or, you could use TikTok or any of those, and or have kids do them and then send them in, and then, maybe use a Flipgrid, and then whatever you gather from that, you could put together something else so that, you're using the kids to gather some of that information or give them, some of the videos.
Great.
Doreen? Yeah.
I've had my 6th graders have Chromebooks and my 7th and 8th graders have the MacBooks. And I've had good luck with the kids using the photo booth as an option for making little short video clips and uploading. They're really compatible to the Google Classroom, and they're easy for the kids to use for little short presentations or pieces if they're doing a little skit on how to do decision making or how to solve a problem or whatever. It's worked pretty good.
Yeah, I've used it for some lectures in my class and stuff too, because I use Mac. But.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, and I bet we could keep going, but we are at our time. And a few people have said thank you, and they had to head off to other meetings. But really appreciate it, Kim. It's a great list, a great tool for folks to build off of.
Yeah, just get started.
Now and just keep adding to it.
Mm-hmm.
You've already had some new ideas right here to utilize. So I so value Kim and her creativity and her expertise. And she is she and I are members of the Society of State Leaders for Health and Physical Education, along with Jean. And she is definitely one of our tech gurus in that group. She tweets everything for us. She's still working on teaching me how to do that. I'll get there someday. I really appreciate everybody being here and all of your sharing, and we'll make this available out there as soon as possible. I'm still working on my technology end, and just some really good things to consider. I wrote down several ideas for sessions that we would want to do this summer or fall and make available for people that we hadn't thought about before. So make sure you signed into the chat box if you haven't done that yet. Last name, comma, first name, comma, school, comma, district, and there'll be an evaluation / survey coming out later today. So.
Keep your eyes open for the Shape America guidelines for going back to school coming in. Everything's in the office, so it's a matter of late this week, or my guess is next week that it'll be out. And just remember, it'll be very broad. That districts are to take that and then make it their own. But I was pretty excited about some of the stuff that I saw and alignments to some of the